Hello, I'm Seamless, and this is part 2 of this sound design request tutorial. This was on Lucky Date and Space Slices thingy. If you haven't seen the first part, I suggest you go look at that. That'll be in the description as well. Of everything else, there's all kinds of stuff in the description. You should just go read that because it's full of awesome information. So let's talk about the hows and the whys of things. So when I first heard this sound in the track, like this 3XOSC shape was like the first thing that popped up to me, into my head as a thing that I could use to make it. If I were to just that's what that sounds like. It's a pulse width sort of modded square thing. That's what it sounds like. I mean, you probably could have also done it with a saw wave. It's harmonically similar, but this just stuck in my head as what I wanted to use to base it off of, and I did. That's what I did. I EQ'd it because it felt like there's a lot of high mids going on in the sound. Then I chorused it. So what I did here, it's largely, I mean, it's relevant as to the settings that I used, but I had a purpose for what I decided I wanted to do. I have a sort of a low to mid delay settings on here. I also have the delay LFOs actually set to be doing things, and I didn't want it to be too closed, which is what it sounds like when the delays are low, or too open, which is what it sounds like when the delays are too high. Like it gets muddier if you do that. But I wanted enough so that it created a kind of wash. And then the same thing with the depth settings, which move the pitch around. And I changed that around in a bit. And then one of these I only have it on up to 70 hertz of what's basically just bass chorusing. And then over here in the actual mixer, I have set the dries to be different values. And as you see, when I mess around with them, it has a pretty dramatic effect on the sound. So I kind of messed around with that until I got a good fitting sound that I wanted. And then, of course, this, as was obvious, was going to happen. It's plenty of distortion. However, I very accidentally arrived at this shape because the sound that I initially tried to get after was actually bit crushing, which is something you could do in the wave shaper, not exactly in the way that you might think you can do it in something like Massive or any other actual bit crushing program, but we can actually do bit crushing when we consider what bit crushing actually is, which is pretty much doing this shape to a sound wave when you decrease the number of bits from silence to maximum loudness. And I might even do a whole special tutorial just on that because the idea behind it and behind why this works is pretty interesting, I think. But as I was messing with this, I was looking around at the other one, the Smooth Stairs. It's kind of the same thing, but smoother. And then I hit Wave, and then this happened. Now, here's the thing about the wave shaping. It's the way the wave shaping works. I have a whole tutorial on this, by the way. It's in the FL Basics playlist, the wave shaper. The way the wave shaper works is that you see here on this graph it's labeled in out. So this is all about amplitude. Amplitude, not the guitar plugin, but amplitude, the function of audio. So let's say like if we go in here, like this is a value, half, let's say, of whatever theoretical maximum it is. It comes in, and then the way this is set is that right here it'll come out that same value. But if the value comes in over here, you see that it's actually going to come out way louder. And so that means that as it gets louder, it comes up and comes down, comes up, comes down, and it goes back down, comes up, comes down, comes up, comes down. It's effectively, I've drawn comparisons to how Maximus works because it has the same sort of input-output graph manipulation as a source of control of the dynamic range control. But unlike Maximus, the wave shaper does not have attack, release, ahead settings, delay of any kind. So the audio following that one-to-one in real time causes distortion in a big way. So that's why a wave shaper is used for distortion. And this particular kind of distortion that this creates is very interesting, and it happened to create the sound that I wanted. However, it should be noted that in the track, the high frequency presence that's happening there is largely the result of the percussion, the hats that are happening in the track. I know that. I knew that, but I still wanted to have a sound that had the high frequency range in here because when you tend to remember songs that you listen to and with sounds like that, you will think of them as having those characteristics, even though they were caused by something else. And this is the result of very good mixing on the part of whoever made the song originally. Space Aces and Lucky Date, but it's always been the case. Like if you remember, like if I remember old like Korn or System of a Down tracks, the guitar in my mind had like everything. It had a lot of high end, it had a lot of mid range, it had a lot of bass. It was just awesome and meaty, and that's only really possible because the entire band is there. There's bass because there's a bass guitar that largely follows the guitar, which bassists may tell you it's not good. It can be good or bad, but if it's following the guitar like that, it beefs up what the guitar is doing and it sounds awesome. High frequency presence can be attributed to things like the drums or the vocalist, because if you ever actually listen to those tracks and ever had the opportunity to listen to the masters of those tracks, the guitars, when it's by themselves, they don't sound like you think they sound. They sound kind of thin and bad almost, but when they're with everything, when it's together, the whole package, it's amazing. So I know that this original sound, if you were to want to listen to it by itself, it probably didn't have that kind of hardcore high frequency presence. And it's the result of the mix with the rest of the elements of the track that created that image of that sound having that kind of presence. But I decided to make it have that presence anyway. And if you try to mix it with something and you discover that it has too much high frequency, just EQ it. EQ it away. Not a lot to say about that. I used the free filter to make a low pass. A little bit of Q in there. If you turn the Q all the way off, you get that, which just works, but you lose like all the high frequency presence. So if you have a little bit of it, it brings back enough of the high frequencies to, sound like it's supposed to, at least in my mind. And then I compressed it. This is largely super duper brick limiting. Which is fine because the sound itself is very limited, very distorty, so it helps. It's very good. Yeah. So to recap, either something like a saw or this weird pulse width square, a whole bunch of chorus, distortion with this weird shape, and then a low pass filter. That's pretty much what the sound is based on. The compression is optional. The distortion is even kind of optional. The chorus is pretty much makes the sound. So that's like the meatiest meat of the whole thing. The chorus and distortion makes it what it is, which is pretty much true for every sound that anyone's ever wanted to make ever. Barring modern vocoder miracles, most sounds are a product of interesting manipulation of sharp, complex waveforms, chorus, stacking, and distortion. Anyway, if you have any questions about any of this, let me know. And the Facebook post for next week's sound design requests will be in the link in the description. If you have a request that you would like to see done, post on that Facebook post. And then the highest liked one will be the one that wins, will be the one that goes for next week's. And if you have a question about any of that, let me know. And as usual, have a nice day.